Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, literally the most anticipated Zelda game ever, as the original Breath of the Wild sold over 21 million copies, which makes it the #1 best-selling Zelda game of all time. We have so many fans that cannot wait to get new information on Breath of the Wild 2. Now, today's video, I want to talk about why I think it's still coming in 2021, but it very well could go into 2022, but we're seeing some new rumors and leaks online about localization and different things floating around that may suggest that this game is just a little bit closer than all of us fans really think. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, without further ado, I do really want to talk about why I think Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, could very easily still be a 2021 title. Now, we recently had Nintendo's first mainline direct in over 500 something plus days. We got a ton of different announcements, including a big blockbuster like Splatoon 3 that they are now announcing for 2022. And then we also recently got the Pokemon event that unveiled Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that is clearly scheduled for the beginning part of 2022 as well. So the question then becomes is, do they throw a Breath of the Wild 2 in with that? A lot of fans were very let down with Zelda's lack of information at this most recent direct. However, all of the content creators that I follow, and hopefully the ones that you are too, are trying to reassure fans that Zelda did not just simply get skipped over for their 35th anniversary. They are still celebrating Mario until the end of March, and we will absolutely see Zelda's anniversary bleed into 2022 as well, especially if as many games that are in the works that are rumored to be coming out are scheduled for lineups. They're not going to throw like 6 different Zelda games at us all at once at the same time frame. So far, all we have is Skyward Sword HD, scheduled to be released on July 16th, and that's the only thing we have officially in the books for a Zelda release in 2021. Now, Breath of the Wild 2 has obviously been in development for quite some time. Really, the first Breath of the Wild finished development towards the end of 2016, and this Nintendo Switch was not quite ready to go yet at that point, so they really backed off on releasing it until the beginning of 2017, when the Nintendo Switch was actually released. So the whole thing about this game is that they basically built it from overflowing DLC ideas. So they wanted to continue to do DLC packs for Breath of the Wild, and then they realized, hey, wait a minute, we have so many different ideas, we may as well just use the same engine, the same Hyrule, and craft an entirely new story in this world. And that's really what spawned Breath of the Wild 2. So that's actually confirmed by Eiji Aonuma himself. So it's not something that's just speculation. That's actually what they said they came up with the idea for this game. That being said, they already have the base engine and all of the assets that they need. This is much more similar to a Majora's Mask, which was the follow-up to Ocarina of Time, where it used the same engine. We saw Majora's Mask come out roughly 2 years after Ocarina of Time. Now, I'm not stating that this is not a much bigger project than that, because obviously it is, but when they have the base Hyrule already created and all of the character assets already created, that's definitely a large chunk of work that is already cut out. And just because we didn't see a gameplay trailer or gameplay reveal at this event, I think they just simply wanted to give Skyward Sword HD a moment to live in its own timeline, because obviously anything that gets thrown out there that's Breath of the Wild 2 related is going to automatically overshadow any other type of Zelda news, and that will be the #1 focused on story. So I think we see a full media hype into Skyward Sword HD, and then whenever we get what I'm predicting to be a Nintendo Direct focused on Zelda's 35th anniversary, just like we saw for Mario, I think we get that in the middle point of this year. Hopefully as soon as April, but there's no telling if they want to, unveil all their cards on how many Zelda games are coming before Skyward Sword HD comes out. I think because they will probably plan to make this celebration last into 2022, I don't think we get all the full picture of what Zelda's 35th anniversary really looks like until maybe June or July would kind of be my, ideal scenario for when we get more information on Zelda from Nintendo themselves. That way they're giving Skyward Sword the full, media ramp up and all of the hype, and then they say, guess what? Surprise, to close out the end of the year, maybe we still see Breath of the Wild 2 released before the end of 2021. A couple things that back this up is there's a number of different leakers online, and take this with a pinch of salt because nothing's really official until Nintendo comes out and says it themselves, but there is a bunch of rumors floating around out there that this game is being localized in multiple regions, which would suggest that the game is at least start to finish playable and almost ready to go. Still probably polishes and things like that to be done, bug fixes, all of that, but the main portion of the work would definitely be complete, and you could definitely expect this at the end of the year if these rumors are true. I think the only thing that could derail this is if the pandemic did hit them a lot harder than what we know on this title specifically, and maybe it bleeds into the first quarter of 2022. Regardless of when we see this thing released, my personal prediction is that we are going to get it alongside of a Switch Pro revision, because even Breath of the Wild, the original, would run at 1080p and it would struggle at certain times to get to 30 frames per second. If we have the option to play a Breath of the Wild 2 in 4K at 60 frames per second from Nintendo, I think that is the perfect time to launch it. It was Zelda's most successful selling title, and I think if they give us a Zelda Edition Switch Pro, talk about having scalper issues and not being able to find a console, this one will absolutely fly off the shelves, especially if it's released in holiday season, like a November time window of 2021. So that's my personal predictions in light of the most recent announcements. Also thinking the fact that I don't think they're releasing Breath of the Wild 2 side by side with Pokemon Legends Arceus, even though they are technically separate fan bases and Pokemon is like a giant franchise in its own. I still think Nintendo wants to have Zelda have its own moment in the spotlight and be a hardware system seller for a potential Switch Pro revision, which we are continuing to see rumors about. So I definitely think that's something that's around the corner for Nintendo. I mean, there's a lot of different manufacturers talking about parts and chipsets, and there's been people that have decoded the Switch's firmware to suggest things like 4K resolution and like DLSS, which is a technology to basically upscale lower resolution and make it look 4K. So they're definitely working on something, and I think they released this at the time with one of their biggest franchises ever, which is Zelda, and I think that's the show closer for this year. And then hopefully we get some kind of picture of what Grezzo's working on with smaller little remakes, probably more handheld focused stuff, maybe the Oracle games, maybe the Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks as a combo pack. Still got to see about Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. So Nintendo is stacked with Zelda titles that people will happily purchase at full price. So I do think we're going to get more information soon, but I don't think it's as soon as everybody would like. I think the middle part of this year we get the initial sneak peeks and hopefully a gameplay trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. Then they just use that hype all the way into November to continue to boost this title and make sure everybody knows about the pre-order specials, and then potentially, like I said, fingers crossed, a Switch Pro launching alongside of it. But that's my personal predictions. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on what you think we're going to see for Zelda's 35th anniversary in general, and then also when you personally think we will actually get Breath of the Wild 2 finalized and released. So make sure you share that with me in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on your way out on this video if you enjoyed the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.